His addiction was destroying his family and health, while his neighbor slept until noon and was rich. Alex watched the sliver of light under his office door, the only thing separating his world of flickering monitors and stale coffee from the silent, accusatory darkness of the rest of the house. It was 3 a.m. Across the manicured lawn, Mark's mansion was a void, a black hole of effortless wealth. Not a single light on. Of course not. Mark was probably sleeping on a bed of money, dreaming of whatever rich, lazy people dreamed of. Alex's eyes burned. He ran a hand through his thinning hair, the mouse clicking like a time bomb under his trembling fingers. The addiction was not alcohol or pills. It was the grind. The hustle. The corrosive belief that sleep was for the weak and family time was a luxury he had not yet earned. A soft sound made him flinch. His wife, Sarah, stood in the doorway, her face a pale mask of exhaustion and sorrow. She was not angry anymore. That had burned out weeks ago. Now, she was just gone. "I booked the tickets, Alex," she whispered, holding up her phone. "The flight to the coast. The little hotel you promised me 2 years ago. We leave Friday." The words hit him like stones. Friday. The deadline for the Sterling Tower proposal was Thursday at midnight. The biggest project of his architectural career. His one shot to finally break free, to justify all these nights. "Sarah, you know I see not," he said, his voice raspy. "This project, it's everything. After this, I promise, we can go anywhere." "You always say that," she replied, her voice flat. "There's always another, after this. I'm not asking you to choose between me and your work. I'm asking you to choose between our life and your obsession." The choice was a physical weight, crushing the air from his lungs. His family or his future. It was an impossible, unfair equation. He was about to argue, to plead, to make another hollow promise, when an email pinged. The subject line made his heart stop: "Sterling Tower, urgent update." He opened it, his hands shaking. It was from the client himself. "Mr. Vance, just a formality. We were heavily considering your competitor, Mark Haddon, for this project. His firm's efficiency is legendary. But your personal commitment, the fact that I can get a reply from you at 2 a.m. That's what sealed the deal. We value a man who is all in. See you Thursday." Alex stared at the screen, a giddy, toxic relief washing over him. It was not a choice anymore. It was validation. He looked up at Sarah, a triumphant, pitying smile on his face. "He chose me, Sarah. He chose me over Mark. You see. This is why I do it." Sarah did not say a word. She just looked at the screen, then at him, and her expression broke him. It was not disappointment. It was grief, as if she were looking at a ghost. She turned and walked away, and the only sound was the soft click of her bedroom door closing him out for good. He acted on his choice with the fervor of a zealot. The client's email was his scripture, and the Sterling Tower was his salvation. He did not sleep for the next 48 hours, fueled by energy drinks and the righteous fire of his own sacrifice. He ignored Sarah's calls. He missed a text from his son about a school award. The world outside his office faded into a distant hum. Every line he drew, every calculation he made, was a brick in the monument to his hard work. The downward spiral began subtly. A misplaced decimal point in the structural load calculations, caught and corrected at 4 a.m. A call from a supplier, annoyed that Alex had forgotten to confirm a crucial materials order. Small fires he frantically stamped out, telling himself it was the price of genius. He was so deep in the maze of his work, he did not see the walls closing in. On Thursday evening, hours before the deadline, he hit send on the final proposal. A masterpiece of 150 pages. He leaned back, his body screaming in protest, a wave of vertigo washing over him. He had done it. He stumbled out of his office, ready to collapse, to finally sleep. The house was too quiet. A note was on the kitchen table. "I've gone to my sister S. Your son is with me. The house is yours, Alex. I hope it was worth it." His blood ran cold. He tried to call her, but the phone went straight to voicemail. Panic, cold and sharp, pierced through his exhaustion. As he stood there, his world crumbling, his phone rang. It was the client. "Vance," the voice boomed, devoid of its earlier warmth. "My engineers just found a fatal flaw in your proposal. You overlooked a key city zoning ordinance. Your entire foundation plan is illegal. The presentation is off." Alex's mind went blank. The zoning ordinance. He made a note to double-check it, a small task lost in the hurricane of his sleepless nights. I can fix it," he stammered, his voice cracking. "Do not bother," the client snapped. "You just cost me a month and a lot of political capital. We redone." The line went dead. The project was gone. His wife was gone. He sank to the floor, the pristine white note a cruel counterpoint to the ruins of his life. And as if the universe had one last joke to play, a certified letter lay on the doormat, delivered that afternoon. It was a foreclosure notice from the bank. The initial payment for the Sterling Tower, the money he had already mentally spent, was supposed to cover the mortgage. He was not just a failure, he was a fraud in a house he no longer owned. He found himself on Mark's doorstep an hour later, reeking of whiskey and despair. He did not know what he wanted. To yell. To fight. To demand the secret to a life that seemed like a cruel joke at his expense. Mark opened the door, not in silk pajamas, but in a simple t-shirt and jeans. He did not look surprised. He looked bored. "Alex," he said calmly. "I figured you'd be stopping by. Come in." Alex stumbled inside, ready to unleash a torrent of rage, but Mark cut him off. "Let me guess. The Sterling Project. Zoning flaw. You worked yourself into the ground and blew it at the finish line." The words were so accurate they felt like a physical blow. Mark led him to a minimalist office, dominated by a single, massive screen. "You think I'm lazy, do not you?" Mark said, tapping a few keys. "You think I sleep all day? The truth is, I work about 4 hours a day. Because I built this." On the screen, a program came to life. "I call it Nexus," Mark said. "It's an architectural AI I developed. It handles 90% of the grunt work. Compliance checks, material sourcing, structural analytics, all automated. The zoning flaw that sank you. Nexus would have flagged it in 0.8 seconds. He turned to Alex, his expression unreadable. "I can help you. We can run your proposal through Nexus, fix the error, and resubmit. You can save your career. Right now." A surge of delirious hope shot through Alex. A lifeline. A magic bullet. He numbly handed over his data stick. For the next hour, He watched in stunned silence as Mark's AI elegantly dismantled and rebuilt his flawed masterpiece. It was beautiful. It was perfect. Mark made the call to the client, putting it on speakerphone, explaining that a clerical error had been fixed. The client, impressed by the speed, agreed to see them both in the morning. For a moment, Alex felt a flicker of partnership, of victory snatched from the jaws of defeat. The next morning, in the client's boardroom, the presentation was flawless. The client was ecstatic. Incredible. He boomed, shaking Mark's hand. This is the most efficient, brilliant fix I've ever seen. He then turned to Alex, his eyes cold. Vance, thank you for bringing this to my attention. Your contract is terminated, of course. But I'm officially signing a multi-year, exclusive licensing deal with Mr. Haddon for his Nexus platform. It's far more valuable to my company than a single architect. We're cutting out the middleman. Alex stared, uncomprehending. Mark stood beside him, a picture of calm success. He met Alex's horrified gaze and gave a tiny, almost imperceptible shrug. It was not a rescue. It was an ambush. Mark had not just saved the project, he had used Alex's failure as a live product demo to steal his client, his career, and the last shred of his dignity. Alex was not just beaten. He was the fool on which a smarter man had built an empire. He was back in his empty office, the foreclosure notice a bookmark in his life's final, pathetic chapter. Rock bottom was not a loud crash, it was a profound, suffocating silence. He stared at the Sterling Tower plans, the monument to his own stupidity. He saw the elegant lines, the grand vision, and the tiny, fatal flaw. But then his eyes caught something else. A small, handwritten annotation in the margin, made weeks ago, before the madness took over. Client ego note, non-negotiable. Rooftop Zen garden must have authentic Yoshino cherry trees, not maples. Personal to his late wife. It was a trivial detail, an artistic flourish. An inefficient, sentimental request. Nexus, the god of optimization, would have flagged it as a budgetary anomaly, suggesting a cheaper, hardier local tree. Mark, the priest of systems, would have agreed, seeing only a percentage point to be saved. He sold efficiency, not empathy. And in that moment, the epiphany struck Alex, not as a lightning bolt, but as a slow, cold sunrise. Mark had not stolen his career. He had only stolen the parts that could be automated. He could not steal the human part. The part that listened. With a clarity he had not felt in years, Alex picked up the phone. He did not call to beg or to bargain. He called the client. Mr. Sterling, he said, his voice steady. I understand your decision to go with Nexus. It's a brilliant system for building a tower. But it will never build your tower. He paused. That Zen garden you wanted. For your wife. Nexus will tell you Yoshino cherry trees are a poor choice for this climate. It will recommend concrete benches because they have better ROI. I'm the only person who knows why those trees matter more than the entire budget. There was a long silence on the other end of the line. The sound of a man of immense ego realizing he was about to be optimized into a statistic. The next day, a new contract arrived via courier. Not just for the Sterling Tower, but for 2 future projects. A new clause was highlighted in yellow: lead architect's personal design supervision is mandatory and non-negotiable. A week later, Alex was sketching in a notebook in his sunlit office, the scent of fresh coffee in the air. Sarah walked in, not with a suitcase, but with 2 mugs. She placed one on his desk and put a hand on his shoulder. He looked up, and for the first time in years, she saw not a haunted workaholic, but the men she had married. Outside, a moving truck was parked in front of Mark's mansion. A for sale sign was hammered into the perfect lawn. His addiction had been the noise of being busy. His salvation was the quiet power of being present.